Really? Broke the radiator on my wife's car the last time we hit one down by Palmer.
They can be pretty beautiful.
One caused like $3,500 worth of damage to my car. Like,
Stick on the front.
hit it and then it went under and ripped.
So boring.
Yeah.
It was bad.
I shut the car off quicker. It would have been a bigger problem because it was out of coolant.
Last minute takes forever.
It is pretty warm in here.
Yeah, it is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Snellings,
Present.
Ferris,
Here.
Barons,
Here.
Keating, Beichman,
Present.
Schrader,
Present.
Fromm, here, Baraki, 7-0, you have a quorum.
Thank you. First off, we have an item that would like to be added to the agenda. You should have in front of you a letter from Mandy Cook, our public library director. I would look to add this to business and discussion items as number 13. I would need a motion to do that.
Move to approve item number 13 to business and discussion items.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we've set a very bad precedent doing this when people just send it to us or just want it added at the last minute. And the reason being, we publish the agenda for a reason. And we publish the agenda so that people, the public, can come up and talk about these items if they so desire in the open comments. And now we keep adding stuff to it that's never been on the agenda. And I'm afraid we're setting a precedent that we're not going to be able to get out of. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
So the cover letter says attaches a letter I wrote a week and a half ago.
Correct.
Somehow I wrote it, printed it, signed it, and scanned it, and I thought I emailed it to you. Thank goodness to Courtney Porter for your request, Josh. She let me know you hadn't received it. Thanks for your patience. I could have sworn I sent it. And the date on the letter is July 8th. Or the date on the email is July 8th. The date on the letter is June 26th, so I guess it's up.
I mean, couldn't this just be under public comment?
Not if you're making a decision.
Not if we're making a decision. It needs to be under business and discussion. I understand the nature of not setting a lot of precedents of us adding things. I think this was probably an oversight by the sounds of it.
But it's the second time it's happened with her, with the oversight. So that's why I'm not willing to give on it. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Because we have a mural that was started on the side of our building without even being asked. Now she's posted on social media like this is a done deal before she's even asked. So we're setting a precedent there.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? All those in favor of adding it to the agenda as number 13, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Nays?
Ayes, nays?
Nays.
Nays.
Okay, item will be added as number 13. We will move to public comments. If anybody has comments and they'd like to come forward and speak, you can have up to 5 minutes. Please give us your name, address, and ward.
Can you approve our minutes first?
Oh, you're right. We haven't done approval of minutes. First, can we get the approval of minutes?
Move to approve
Go.
minutes of the regular meeting for June 24th, 2024 as written.
Second.
Okay, so moved in second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Just want to keep you on track.
I appreciate that. All right, now we'll move to public comments. If there's anyone who would like to come forward with public comments, please come forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to business and discussion items. First up, we have Squirrels Just Want to Have Fun request, Ashley Grott.
Hello. On behalf of the Marysville Chamber and Main Street Committee for Squirrels Just Want to Have Fun, it is our annual Ladies' Night retail event. We bring in about 200 to 250 women into our downtown businesses one Friday night in August every year. And so we are requesting this year for the after party. We'd like to host it at the Wagon Wheel. Unfortunately, we're real limited on spaces that can hold 250 people, and so we're looking to have it outside in the back parking lot behind the Helvering that's attached to the Wagon Wheel parking lot, and doing an extension of premise there so that we can be served food and alcohol from the Wagon Wheel. I believe there is a map included with the information that you have there. And so we are requesting to close that parking lot from after lunch on Friday, August 9th, until midnight that evening.
Have you checked with the Helvering? Are they all right with that?
We
Because I
have,
know they parked some cars back there that do the lunches and stuff.
right. We have not talked to the Helvering Center yet. The parking lot, I believe, empties out after the lunchtime is what we're looking to do. We don't want to displace any of the senior citizens who use that parking lot. We've done this previously in this location a number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and it worked out pretty well, I think, as far as traffic and keeping things contained to that area. So just here before you for any questions and to ask if you have any concerns.
Are you setting up any kind of barriers or tape or anything to let people know that they can't?
We have to
do
in
that?
order to have it be serving alcohol outdoors, yes.
Move to approve the request as long as you get in touch with the Helvering Center.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining from that vote.
Lori's on our committee.
Good job.
Opposed? Okay, 1 abstention.
I feel like I'm conflict
Thank
both
you.
ways.
Thank you.
So I'm staying out of it.
Okay, next up, we have the resolution 2024-12 for the extension of premises.
Move to approve resolution 2024-12 for the extension of premises for the Squirrels Just Want to Have Fun.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Should that be changed to the Wagon Wheel for the extension of premises?
It does say.
The
wagon.
resolution.
I know, but he
is-
said for Squirrels Just
Oh,
Want to
I'm
Have
sorry.
Fun.
Yeah, for the Squirrels that Want to Have Fun event, to the Wagon Wheel.
Yeah,
yes.
two.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstaining from that vote also.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the letter of intent for rural redevelopment housing incentive district discussion with Tyler Holloman.
Council members, good evening. First off, I think this is the first time I've been back in front of you after you accepted our proposal, so I just want to extend my gratitude and appreciation for your trust in us as a developer to work in your community. Main reason why I'm here tonight, you've got a couple different items on the agenda. I just thought it might be best if I could just be here to answer any questions, especially to kind of facilitate and expedite some of these decisions in the early kind of pre-development phase that we're in right now with the Kester block. I have not seen the letter of intent, but I'm pretty familiar with the terms that was discussed. So I told Josh I would be happy just to be here if you guys had any questions, and then also would like the opportunity to discuss the RHID process and just kind of talk with you kind of what our thinking of or what our past experience with that program has been, and answer any questions that you have. So I have not prepared a presentation, mostly just wanted to be here if you have questions.
So what does it entail to get an RH, to get this?
I think we have our proposed letter of intent. I think the more important thing is to understand what the RHID is.
And
From a layman's term.
Yes.
So the RHID district or act has been around for a while. We've used it in a lot of rural communities. It used to be called a rural housing improvement district. A couple years ago, it got expanded, and when it got expanded, it got renamed as a reinvestment housing incentive district. I believe is the correct technical term now. But basically, what it does is it allows for either some cities will choose to bond a project, and that RHID captures the increased tax revenue, and it can be used to pay off bonds. Or what's more common in rural communities, and what we would expect in this instance, would be just a reimbursement. So the city's not putting up any funds up front. There's no bonding issues with the city. It would just be the eligible housing cost that we spend on the project would be reimbursed back to us over a 25-year period, up to a 25-year period. So it doesn't guarantee that it's a 25-year reimbursement process, but it would be for whatever eligible housing improvement costs that we spend, that would flow back to us for the increased property tax value. So the city, the county, and the school district maintain the base level. It would just be anything above that would come back for the housing improvement costs. Money that we spend on the building for any commercial components, any appliances, any non-permanent costs, those are not eligible for reimbursement.
And to be clear, the reimbursement is not, it's not a reimbursement from the city, it's a reimbursement from the tax levy for any improvements up and beyond where we're at now.
That's correct, thank you. So we would pay, as a developer, as a private party, we would pay the increased property taxes. So we actually write the check, it goes out the door, the state has a way of capturing that, and it would come to the county usually is who administers it, and the county would flow it back to us. So there'd be no no exchange of money between us and the city. Yeah. And I know, anytime you start talking about property tax abatements, that's not, that can be a tricky subject. I'm fully aware of that. What we have seen the RHID do is make a project pencil. So right now, with insurance costs up, financing fees, everything's just very expensive. This is a way for us to reduce some operating expenses for a period of time. The statute does not allow it to go longer than 25 years. It's very hard to predict what property tax values will do. If the property tax values jump, crazy, that could be paid off in 10, 15, 20 years. But we would just track those expenses with the county, and once it was paid, then there'd be no more abatement or no more reimbursement back to Frontier.
So you're saying that when your expenses and the property tax that's been collected meets your expenses that you outlaid, then it stops?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's an important clarification, is that a lot of times people think an RHID is just a 25-year
Right.
abatement, and in some cases it can be. So if the property taxes over 25 years does not recoup, our eligible costs, then that abatement will run to 25 years. On year 26, it would drop off. But if at year 20, we're fully reimbursed, it's going to stop.
Is there a public hearing process?
There is, yep, that's another great question. So the Department of Commerce is the agency that administers this, and they have a pretty basic flyer on their website that kind of outlines the steps. I found it's a little helpful to kind of expand some of those steps, but there's basically 4 steps. So the first step is what usually what we would do as an organization. We would perform a housing needs analysis that would be specific to, it'd be a very targeted housing needs analysis. Some communities want to pay for a community-wide housing needs analysis, and that's great if the community wants to do that, but most communities say, they just want us to do one for our project. If you ever have another developer that wanted to do an RHID and you wanted to entertain it for a downtown building, I'd be happy to share the housing needs analysis that we do, and they would need some tweaking, but it could, it's going to be very targeted for the downtown district. So step one is create the housing needs analysis, which we would begin working on immediately. Step two, you would need to pass a resolution adopting the findings of the housing needs analysis. When you do that, what most cities will do at that point is also, or have that serve as a public notice announcement. And so then you would have to hold a public hearing within 30 days. Again, what most cities do is usually announce that public hearing at a already scheduled council meeting, so that you're not having nobody needs an extra meeting in their life. And so you would have that public hearing at a future council meeting date. Again, most times there's no public comment, but it is a requirement of the RHID Act. Once that public comment, once that public hearing was held, then you would pass an ordinance formally adopting the HNA and and creating the RHID district, and you would also send it to the Secretary of Commerce, David Tolan's office. His office reviews it. If they agree with it, they send it back, and the district is created. At some point, we would need to work with your legal team to come up with a development agreement with us. It basically outlines, this is the project, these are the buildings, this is what we're going to do. Fairly simple agreement. And once that's done, the district is created. The tax, that starts basically the clock and says, okay, this is the value of the residential value of the property now, and that would be our base value. And then we would track, costs that are, or we would track our development project as it goes.
You mentioned the base values and included the school district. Do they have to sign off on this as well?
It's another great point. So yes, I think at step 3, so after we've conducted the HNA and you all have adopted it via a resolution, and hold the public hearing, I believe it's at step 3, then right before the district is formally created, the school district and the county would have veto rights. So that we would have to just send them a letter saying, hey, it's the intent of the city council, they've initiated this action to create an RHID in this, for these buildings. If they do nothing, that's just approved. They would have to actively take a step against it. I have talked with the Department of Commerce quite a bit, because a lot of times in other communities, there's fear that a school board's going to stand up and, vote against it or whatever. But I think they've done, I can't remember. There's been a lot of RHIDs created in the state of Kansas. Knock on wood, to date, there has never been a school district or a county that has exercised their veto option.
Because it's just a small segment of just those buildings.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
a lot.
Right, and they're not losing any value, they're just giving up some future value for an extended period of time, yeah.
Does council have any other questions?
I do, but not with the RHID.
Okay.
process. I mean, if we're done with that, everybody okay with RHID? So Tyler, I've gotten several calls about the business, properties and what your plans are for that. Can you just kind of explain what your plans are for the business, if there's gonna be price increases on rent and stuff, just so the public's aware of what your plans are for
Yep, so we are gonna try to retain as many of the businesses that wanna stay, we want them to stay. So our primary goal is gonna be tenant retention. During the construction project, there will be disruption to the commercial tenants. We will do our very best to minimize that disruption. We'll do the construction in phases. We will try to, if we have to close a portion of the main floors, we'll try to just close a portion that allows the business to maintain at least some operations. And we'll try to really minimize the downtime. So if we have to, we're going to have to get plumbing up to the upper apartments. We're going to have to drop some ceilings to do that. During that time, we also plan to make updates to the main floor space. That could be using some CDBG funds. There's a couple different funding sources we're looking at. Some of that will be private funds for our investment dollars, but we'll try to make upgrades to their spaces at the same time. So if there's an aging HVAC system that needs to come out and we have to shut a portion of the building down to do the plumbing upstairs, we'll try to also replace their HVAC at the same time. So again, so we minimize disruption. In terms of pricing increases, Again, our primary goal is going to be tenant retention, so I do believe that a lot of the spaces are under-rented right now. Some of that may be due to some deferred maintenance, and so we're going to try to correct that. But with our primary goal being tenant retention, we're not going to come in and do a 100% rate hike on anyone on day one. So we will work with tenants to gradually step those up. And we'll hope, and a lot of times what we see in other buildings that we've done is we hope that the tenants see a value in increased maintenance on the buildings and, modernized HVAC equipment, newer storefronts, and are willing to pay for those increases.
All right, thank you, Tyler,
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also have the letter of intent in front of you. If you look over it, just make sure it's what we had agreed to before I give it off to Tyler. In it talks about how he would be responsible for all real estate taxes and insurance on the property, and then it outlines the payment agreements that we had talked about, lease duration, and then the lease termination conditions. So,
And is
the
the
timeline as well.
the timeline on the insurance and tax liability is after the lease is let?
Yeah, it would be as soon as the lease is taken on.
All right.
Nope.
On the 39-year purchase option, can you explain a little bit about that, how that works?
That is after the 39 and a half years, then he would have the ability to purchase it, for what is today's $10,000 and 2064 or 2065, I guess was when it would be. And so it might be 38,000, but sorry. But in order to make that 38,000, we would take his yearly lease payments and add it up to see how much would be left. And if there is a balance left over that he would need to be paying, whether it's 4,000, 6,000, he would then pay that at that time if he wants to outright purchase it. Otherwise, we could continue the lease. If he has paid over it, then it's just wash, so.
Thank you.
So the letter of intent is, we've already agreed on that.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure the wording was fine.
But we need to talk about the RHID, and if we want to move forward with that, or can we?
This is just a discussion right now.
So you know.
We
All right, we're done.
We still need to do the housing needs analysis, so.
I just wanted to be here to make sure there was not some extreme opposition on the part of the council before we started working on the RHID steps. So it sounds like we have a general consensus. The council's good with RHID, so we will start that process.
I just have one more thing. Tyler, have you reached out to the businesses and is there any way that you could do that? Just reach out to them, maybe give them some contact information in case they have any fears or needs or any questions or anything that we can answer. I think that would be a good idea just to help alleviate some of the tension and,
That's a great point. Again, I knew we had a consensus with council, but I kind of wanted to hold off until we got some of that. Ideally, we would have the contract, but at least the LOI. And so it sounds like if we've got that tonight, I will make sure that everybody has my contact information. And I'll talk to Wayne before I leave here and have him, feel free to give out my information as well. So, that's a great idea.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. You can do it. Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, we have the resolution 2024-13, grant letter of support. There's more explanation needed on this one.
It's a loan that he would get, and we are just supporting him from
Okay.
the state. And he needs letters of support from people, we've done that before.
Makes
It's
sense.
Tyler again, yeah, I mean, it would make sense that, yes, we want him to do the housing, and so we write this resolution for him to send along with his application.
That's right. The city's not signing up for any liability. The loan will actually be fully repaid. It just provides some startup money for this process. And really, the biggest reason why we go after it is it makes our MIH application more competitive. Once the MIH gets funded, we repay the money. But it's a fairly simple process. It does require a resolution from the city council.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-13.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler, appreciate it.
All right, next up we have the library agreement. I don't know if Mandy, you want to come forward if there's any questions?
Hello.
Hi, Andy.
So this is the library agreement that the city council and the library board went into last year. As of the building being built in 1994, there was never an official city library agreement. And so the board and I just decided that it was time last year. So nothing changed on this one. It's just a renewal. And actually the library board mentioned that if the city council was interested in maybe extending the period the agreement time, maybe we could look at that next year, unless you'd rather do it yearly. It doesn't make a difference, I don't think, to them, but I'm not expecting anything to change really anytime, but it's just good to be in front of you to talk about it.
To approve the library agreement.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded to approve the library agreement. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have some stop sign resolutions. First up is 2024-07, stop sign, 14th and Calhoun.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-07.
Second.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Next up, we have 2024-08, stop sign at 15th and Laramie.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-08.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
You had discussed crosswalks.
They don't need a resolution. That, they already decided on that the last meeting. That's just a council vote.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion on 2024-08? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Next, we have 2024-09, stop sign at 4th and Broadway.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-09.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Sometime we need to talk about one at the other end of, at 5th and Broadway, like the Mexican restaurant. Working down there, you see the congestion and see the people flying through there. And so it might be, at some point, be good to put one there too.
Next, Police and Fire Committee meeting,
Yeah.
maybe that can be discussed.
Yep.
Any further discussion on 2024-09? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Next, we have 2024-10, stop sign at 14th and Broadway.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-10.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
And lastly, we have resolution 2024-11, a stop sign at 13th and Carolina.
Move to approve resolution number 2024-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Okay. Now we have number 11, UTV Ordinance 1870 and amended Ordinance 1912.
Ready to approve ordinance 1870.
No, it's already approved.
It's approved, it's just some
Okay.
discussion.
Never mind.
Why is this coming up?
That's what I was wondering.
I
He
asked
asked
it
to have
to
it
be
put
brought
on,
up.
so it's his
There's just a
discussion.
couple things. So when before they get tagged, they have to have lights, turn the signals, brake lights and all that. In the resolution, I don't read anywhere where it says that the lights have to be on during the daytime or, anything like that. And I'm also wondering why they couldn't be driven at night. I like to drive mine, nice cool summer night instead of
It's a state
hot of the
ordinance.
day.
The state doesn't allow them to be driven, only sunrise to sunset.
That's a state requirement?
That's a state ordinance, right here,
State statute.
state statute.
Do you have a copy of that?
Will you make a copy? He wants one.
And that's in city limits, it doesn't allow it for it?
And we use the state statutes and state stuff. That's what I thought.
I know this comes up every few years since we initially started having allowing any UTVs on public streets with 1870. I know that was years in the making, a lot of discussion. It kind of was hewed over time into shape, and then 1912 came along a little later. So
We added,
yeah, there's always a lot of discussion. I know there's a lot of folks who definitely feel we should be more permissive than we are as far as golf carts, etc.
So it says here, no all-terrain vehicle shall be operated on any public highway, street, or road between sunset and sunrise unless equipped with lights as required by law for motorcycles.
Okay.
So it is allowed to be driven at night.
but do we allow it in the city? Yeah, I just
Not
want
at
to
this
say.
time.
Our ordinance says no.
No.
That's what I'm requesting we talk about. I mean, most of the time I work, most people work, the time they can drive them is maybe 30, 45 minutes after work or an hour or whatever. I mean, if we're already making them have headlights and turn signals and everything else, why not drive them at night?
I understand the logic, because if they have lights, then what are the lights for?
And most of them have more lights than a car even, and a lot brighter ones.
And honestly, I'd feel safer in a UTV than some of the little scooters you drive around.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Or golf carts. I have seen people really abuse it. I have seen people go over the overpass. And as you can see in the statute, state statute, it's not supposed to be ridden on the federal or state highways. It can cross them, but any highway that you can only ride it, there's certain instances where you can ride it, as you saw in the statute. And I've seen people come right up Highway 7736 in the middle of the day on them, and that's, according to the state statute, that's not legal. So, and it's not legal in our ordinance, is it? No.
But that's not the question here.
I know, it's
That's
not the question.
I'm
I
just-
know, it's not the question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see, and I just don't see a reason why they couldn't be driven at night. It's a lot cooler at night. Some of these things, a lot of them don't have air conditioners and window, and all that stuff. I don't see a problem with it. I would like to drive mine at night, I know that. Chief Simpson, do you have any input on that issue at all? I know you wanted to speak on it.
If I may, I'd like to respond to a couple comments that were made. One, the UTV that comes across from 77 to 36, that's lawful if it's being used for agricultural purposes. There's no reason that we can ban that.
It's a razor, a four-seater razor, it's not,
I understand, state law says if it's
I
being
know.
used for agricultural purposes, which includes fueling up in the city, it can be driven into the city. It's no different than a combine driving up and down the highway. So there are going to be reasons why it is lawful for a UTV to drive on 36 highway. Additionally, I spent a significant amount of time with the Attorney General's office today, because there are certain cities that permit UTVs full access on the highway. including Blue Rapids. Blue Rapids City Ordinance allows, it shall be lawful for any person holding a valid driver's license to drive or operate a special purpose vehicle as defined herein upon the public highways within the corporate city limits of Blue Rapids. That's also the same in like 5 or 6 other cities that I saw. And so my question, when I contacted the Attorney General's office, referred back to 8-15, 109, which states operation of worksite utility vehicle where, when, and exceptions. It says, A, it shall be unlawful for any person to operate a worksite vehicle, 1, on any interstate highway, federal highway, or state highway, semicolon, or 2, within the corporate city limits, unless authorized by such city. Well, statutes have meanings, and if that statute was meant to be and, then it would say and 2 within the corporate city limits of any city. Or, that word or to me defines that it's 1 or 2, meaning that a city could incorporate those in. Being that I'm from Topeka, I looked at Topeka City Ordinance, much bigger city, not really in comparison to anything that we do. Topeka has written a city ordinance to allow law enforcement officers to drive on the highway, but not the general public. The city of Troy has decided to allow everybody to drive ATV, worksite, micro utility trucks, and golf carts on the state federal highways within their city. So there are several different variations of how the ordinance could go. I also pulled the unconventional vehicle operation guide by the Kansas Highway Patrol legal definition, and they too have highlighted the keyword or in that statute, insinuating that it is one or the other. So I'm not here to tell you how to decide, nor am I here to sway you one way or other, but there are several cities that allow full access to UTVs on the highway.
Appreciate that info too.
I'd be happy to answer any questions or give you my opinion if you like. If not, I'll have a seat.
Do you as a police officer in Marysville see an issue with the ATVs on the highway? Is that something that would cause you alarm or think that would cause
Well, I can
any
tell you
issue?
some of the UTVs, such as the one that the city just purchased for us, those lights are brighter than my vehicle. They're LED based, so I think there are exceptions where ours is going to be much more significant. Since you bring up our UTV, I mean, as the statute is written or as the city ordinance is written, we wouldn't be able to drive our law enforcement UTV as the city ordinance is written, unless we operate under state statute, which states that as an emergency vehicle, we're exempt. So that was one thing that I wanted to have the discussion with is the council's desire. I think we're doing a disservice if we can't utilize our UTV after dark, which state law allows us to do, but city ordinance does not. So that's another point of discussion. I don't want to be the black sheep and drive my UTV after night and tell the citizens they can't. So there's a number of points of consideration here this evening.
I do have a question. I mean, Colleen brings, she brings valid points. Have you seen people abusing it? Are people racing through the streets? Are they cutting kitties in the middle of the street? Have you had to pull any over for reckless driving or anything of that?
I have not seen that. I don't patrol a lot, self-admittedly, and I've not been made aware of any issues that we've had. But that doesn't mean it's not occurring. I'm just not aware of any issues that we've had in relation to UTVs. So I think they're a lot safer than the mopeds that are in town.
I agree, 100%.
And some of the motorized or electric-assisted bicycles that we have in town, the UTVs are manufactured with a roll bar. They're going to be a lot safer than probably any motorcycle, realistically. So I think it's hard for me to say we shouldn't have UTVs when we allow a bicyclist to have an entire lane, or we allow a motorcycle to have an entire lane, or any of these other things. So,
would you agree to stay away from the golf carts?
I'm going to agree to support whatever the council decides.
Well,
I'm not asking.
I mean, just your opinion, because I don't think an electric golf cart or a gas golf cart should be out on the street.
Or on the highways.
Yeah, I'm not asking for golf.
I don't have a problem with the UTVs, honestly. I really don't. As long as they're paying their property taxes, they got the proper lights on, all the proper safety things in place, I don't have a problem with it.
Obeying the law, most important.
Right.
And I certainly think we shouldn't be in the position of making you be questionably following the law, doing your job.
We have not driven ours at night because of the city ordinance. I mean, so
And we appreciate that, honestly.
Yeah,
really do.
it's gonna be a lot cheaper, it's gonna save the city money if we're driving that at night versus a patrol car. It's gonna get us, places where we can't go in a patrol car. If there was an emergency, I mean, we may operate under state law and go to it, but we have not driven it at night until this discussion came up.
So my other concern is we've already had trouble with people going down on the levee, and that a lot of time is done at night.
Yeah.
It was how many times has it been?
Oh, we've had trouble a lot of years.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that has nothing to do with the law abiding
Right, yeah.
citizens.
Right.
Which is true.
We're not, why punish everyone because one person wants to,
The bad apple.
you know? I mean, I don't see the sense, I mean, and the police department can't even drive theirs. How much money did they spend on that, you know? I mean,
44,000.
and there, you know, I haven't seen anybody, you know, it seems to me that, at least I know I do, make sure I'm following the speed limit, not doing stupid stuff. You know, you get out on a country road and there are trails, you wanna roll your machine, go for it. But I haven't seen any real abuses of it, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be driven at night. I mean, we already require everything a car has, and most of them have light bars and flashing lights and everything else. They're seen from miles away. I guess I'm gonna make a motion that.
Can I
we
ask a
amend-
question first?
Sure.
Okay, so if we allow and open this ordinance up to do it at night, so are we opening ourselves up to any liability should a wreck occur?
I would,
How
I mean,
would
they
that
have
be
to
any
have
different than a
insurance.
car?
so-
They have to have insurance.
It'd be
just
under
Don't
the
feel like it'd
personal
be any
insurance.
different than a car or truck or any
I
other
mean,
accident.
obviously, the person in the UTV is not gonna survive the person in the four-wheel drive pickup.
Right.
Unless he had a motorcycle.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying,
Or the little scooters going around
Yeah.
town.
right, no, I mean, there's always a danger, but.
I'm gonna make a motion that we update our UTV ordinance to allow them at night, and I don't see any reason why they can't drive on on the highway in the city limits either. They gotta get out of town to get to the trails, if they wanna go to Walmart and get groceries. I'm making a
out of town
motion
to
that
get
we
to what
amend the
trails?
UTV ordinance.
What trails?
So are you gonna keep that, but that's gonna be inside the Marysville property?
In Marysville's
Proper
city
highway.
limits.
After out of Marysville proper, it's,
Okay, so allow at night,
Allow at night, and, I mean, why not drive
and
down
you
through
want
the
them to be able to drive on any highway in the city limits?
Sure.
Correct, okay. I just wanna
Mr.
get it
Schrader,
right.
could I also ask you, if you would consider making a motion to designate our UTV as law enforcement vehicle?
And.
That would make it much
Does that have to be
cleaner.
a separate
I
thing?
think
Yeah.
maybe we should make that a separate
Okay.
motion, if that's okay.
Sure.
Let's make it as concise as we can here. Okay,
What are we considering Marysville proper?
Marysville city limits.
city,
Hometown to,
within the planning commission?
I'm asking,
Or,
yeah,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, not the 3 mile territorial, it would just be city limits, right?
I'd say just Marysville proper.
Oh, Marysville proper, okay.
So does that mean they can go across the bridge?
Not if it's Marysville proper.
That's what I thought.
so
So where in this
The
ordinance
overpass,
1912, does it say sun up
hometown?
to sundown?
It's in the original, I
Say
think,
hometown to
in the
west side of
1870
Richmond.
lorry.
God, I gotta go all the way back.
so to be clear, I don't know this to be true, but my understanding is the 7736 intersection is actually not in city limits. So
I think that's true.
I think the city
And
limits
then
does a
we-
weird
but
thing
it
around
does,
it.
I think that's true, because then Breeding Heights comes in, we
Breeding
had to bring them
Heights,
in
the
for sewer.
motel out there,
Yeah,
the
but,
city limits.
right,
No,
but,
it's
But
thin,
it
but-
jumps.
but this, sorry,
Yeah.
but I believe the intersection itself is outside city limits?
Yeah, I think
So, yeah.
if we do not take care of that, any of that road, that is all done by the highway department.
That's why I don't know, we're getting kind of a gray area because we can't approve it outside of city limits.
Right.
Or just leave it at city limits, if
City
they wanna
limits.
take their chance on their own, they can.
Right.
Okay, so then it would be to the edge of the bridge. I mean, Second Street or
So
whatever
you
you're saying.
wanna say all city limits and then it's not on us to decide where those lines are.
Right.
That's up to,
You're making it harder on them.
He's already said that there's not been any major abuses or anything. I mean, how long has this been enacted? People aren't, I haven't seen anybody abusing it.
You haven't seen anybody abusing
you
it.
won't be able to drive out to my place. Those roads aren't in city limits.
But they're not US or federal
They are in
highways.
city limits,
And they're US or federal
but
highways,
it's not all city
so
roads.
Yeah.
They're in
this
city
wouldn't
limits.
apply. All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Read the motion.
Wait a minute.
You wanna
Yeah,
read
I
that?
still want to know what we're talking about with city limits. Allow UTVs, ATVs to be driven at night.
24 hours.
I don't think there's any designation about ATVs. We're talking about UTVs.
UTVs, MTVs, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
UTVs,
micro
MTVs,
truck thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Not
sorry.
That's okay.
four-wheelers and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
UTVs, yeah.
UTVs and MTVs.
Our current
Yeah,
ordinance.
right, court,
Utility, micro utility.
MUT,
Yeah, there we go.
yep,
MTV
MUT.
and UTV. Allow them 24 hours a day. In the city limits, city proper, that's where I'm lost. I can't, what are you saying?
Okay, so you're saying 24 hours a day?
Oh, yeah.
So at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
somebody can roam down the race,
Yep,
down the
because if you're
street.
not gonna, you can't turn
Same
them
that they
off.
can do in a motorcycle that are louder than
Yeah, a
those.
semi using the
UTVs
air
that
brakes
drive by
at the
my-
middle of the night.
I mean, it would have to be
90% of
opened
the
up
time,
all.
I know when a motorcycle's driving by my house. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know when a
I do
UTV is
too.
driving by my
I
house.
live by the highway.
Well, they aren't, because it's after.
You know what I
dark.
mean? Like, so it doesn't really matter if it's at 3 o'clock in the morning because,
Doesn't.
It's just like a car.
It's
exactly.
just like,
But somebody has to
So-
tell me
so
where you're
you-
talking about for the limit.
Well, and I don't want to speak for you, but you're
No.
saying anywhere within, one moment, anywhere within city limits,
anywhere within city limits, correct?
Okay, all right.
including
so-
on US and state highways.
Including the highway, yes.
Chris?
Mr. Mayor, what's the procedure? I mean, you're voting on something that's not written.
I don't think we're voting, I think we're
We're not,
coming
we're
up.
voting.
They're telling
on
me what to
drafting
write as an ordinance.
Yeah.
They'll have to bring an ordinance back.
We're just, yeah.
They're discussing what to put in as an ordinance.
To draft
To
an
create an
ordinance,
ordinance.
To modify the
Modify it.
existing
No.
1912, sorry.
Yeah, to modify the code is what we're doing. They're telling us what to modify.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Okay, anywhere in city limits, including highways. Okay.
Second.
Okay,
So that was Chris.
so it's been moved and seconded,
Keith.
and the motion is to allow MUTs and UTVs anytime, 24 hours a day, inside the city limits of Marysville on any public street.
Correct.
Well, to
Or highway,
redraft,
including highways.
the motion is to redraft.
Correct, to redraft the
future.
ordinance.
Right.
Yes.
And to allow, to bring it back for council vote.
So if it passes, when's it go into effect?
It's gotta come back and be voted on again.
Well, I know, but when's it gonna go into effect?
Well, I can try to get it written by the next meeting, and then it goes into effect 1 week following.
After you post the resolution.
Post
Right, After I
paper.
post a resolution, it has, I mean, it's like after that Thursday, if I can get it that fast. If that's when you want it, we can make it a different date if, it's up to you.
So we're gonna will we require a new permit or anything with this?
No, the
They already
permit,
have to be
Structure would stay the
licensed.
same.
I'm
tagged,
asking,
Yeah.
I'm just asking,
Yeah. None of that's gonna change. They still have to be licensed,
I'm just
tagged.
asking.
with all the inspections and the
Right.
insurance and all that.
I have a question where he was talking about for farm use. Is that gonna be in the ordinance?
It doesn't
No,
need
It
to
doesn't
be.
need to
It doesn't
be.
need to be.
Or governed by state.
Yeah, that's governed by
Well, they all
state.
try to log them farm.
Yeah, well. Okay, is there any further discussion?
I'm telling you, I'm totally against it because I've been in towns where they drive them all over and it's just gonna be crazy. I kid you not. But whatever.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
6-1.
This one.
Okay,
So I think the second thing is I guess I need to make a motion to
write an ordinance.
write an ordinance to classify the police department's, UTV as a law enforcement vehicle.
If the first ordinance is gonna be approved, it's probably unnecessary,
point.
True.
a moot point.
Okay.
But if you would like to go ahead, just in an abundance of caution, we would like to designate our UTV as an authorized emergency vehicle under state statute 8-1404.
Say that again.
Yet, we would like to designate our UTV owned by the Marysville Police Department as an authorized emergency vehicle defined under state statute 8-1404.
Okay, got it.
Okay. 8-1404.
I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
All right.
I think we should do it anyway, just in case the UTV thing gets changed in the future, they'll still be covered.
It's almost a separate issue, so.
Yeah.
And you may preemptively want to authorize one for the fire department. I know long-term, they're asking for one. Maybe you want to, that's up to you guys. I just don't want to create double work for you if the fire department gets a UTV in the coming years.
We don't mind double work.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't
perfect.
mind double work. We'll cross that bridge when it happens.
All right, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Thank you.
Chief, thanks for all that
Thanks,
information.
You bet,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, we have item number 12, the
Yep.
Nordis Motor Storm Sewer Finance.
Start around here. I got 2 more ones on here.
Okay, so you guys asked me to go out and get some more information on different timelines for each bond, and then also ask for a lower interest rate from the local banks. So first we have the offer for a 10-year lease for the storm sewer through Citizens State Bank and First Commerce Bank for $1.256 million. And that would be because they lowered the amount from the 1.3 bond issue that Ranson has just to get rid of all the underwriting costs that they don't actually have to go through. So it's actually saving us about $44,000. Option 2 on there would be the 1.3 million. I assume that wouldn't be what you would be wanting to do.
Did the interest rate change on that 10-year one? To
Yeah.
what?
So these will be semi-annual lease payments beginning in April 2025, 20 installments. And then the lease is the interest is 4.98% tax exempt. And so the payments are $80,520 semi-annually, so about $161,000 per year. Like I said, your second option would be the 1.3 million from the same group of banks, and then your payments would be just slightly higher. Let's see. So then from Ranson, we have a 10-year go bond. Your interest rate would be on average about 4.1. Your total payments would equal 1.61 million, and yearly payment about 161,000 or 162,000. And then next you'll see a 15-year go bond. Interest rate about the same. These are not set in stone. It all changes whenever they actually go out for a bid on the bonds. So this is saying about 4%, and then your total payment would be about 118,000. And then on the 20-year, which is the one that we presented last meeting, you'll see the exact same thing as last time, about 4% again, and then payments of about 100,000 per year.
What's the recommendation of the administrator?
I would prefer keeping it local. That's what I normally would do, and also it doesn't have the risk of going to vote. 161,000 a year is not too bad, and we got it down to 4.98% from the 5.5 last time. As you notice, we are missing one of the local banks. That's because they chose not to go lower, while the other two felt like they could. And then, yeah, it's a 10-year. It keeps it from going to vote. I think it makes it a lot easier on all of us.
Do you think the 10-year is the better option?
Personally, yeah.
But weren't the other two 10-year too, or the other one's 10-year, or one
No,
was
there was
15?
15.
The
There was
ransom
10,
was
15,
10,
20.
15, 20.
Yeah.
The 10-year is basically equivalent to this. Over the lifetime, we should be paying about the same.
Because of all their inclusive costs, it
Right.
gets it to 4.65.
Right.
We would be paying about the same. You basically matched it, but you wouldn't have to go to vote on it.
So it can go faster.
Right.
And ideally, if we at some point get our stormwater utility fund initiated, we'll have that as a funding mechanism to pay this down ideally, because as has been frequently discussed, we will have other stormwater issues we will need to face. We do need to get this taken care of, but having that funding mechanism in the works will, I think, help us from having to raise sales tax too abruptly to pay for these kinds of projects, hopefully preserving that fund for streets and other projects.
I was gonna bring that up, but, so when's your timeline hoping that you would want that fund to be created?
Well, I mean, I know we discussed it before Josh came on board, so we kind of need to get back to process of that. Yeah, and we have the rate analysis folks coming to talk to us.
And when is that?
Is that next meeting?
We have not set
We've
the
not
meeting
set
for
that.
it.
He had some
We wanted-
family coming in, so we have
Okay.
to.
So we'll have that in place soon. Once we have that rate analysis, we should have a lot of the numbers we need to figure out how we need to structure it and build it. It'll take some time to get it in place, but the crux of it is we can't wait any longer on this. It's a safety issue. We need to get it taken care of.
We do have the option with a local bank that if we have a windfall for some reason, we can pay it off early. Whereas a bond, you don't have that.
That's
I mean, it's a
another.
lot harder.
That's, I like that.
That
So what's the council's wishes on how to proceed?
So do we need to vote? Do we need to make a motion? I make a motion, we go with the local banks with a 10-year plan.
Second.
Which option?
The local banks,
Oh,
Option
10-year
one
now.
on it,
Option-
or
option 1 or option 2?
the 1.25 or the
Yeah,
1.3?
1.256.
yeah, option one.
Option 1.
option one.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Kevin seconded
Already
it.
seconded. Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I will reach out to the banks, and then I'll also reach out to CES to make sure that we're still moving forward.
Great.
Perfect.
Thanks for getting that done, Josh, for sure.
Okay, we are at number 13 on the business and discussion items. The request from Mandy with Marysville Public Library.
Hello again. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on the agenda. I do apologize for my oversight. I did have it typed up. This is not a faked date. I really appreciate that Courtney reached out to me today and said, hey, Josh said that we didn't get anything from you. And I went, ah. So thank you. I sure appreciate your patience with me on that. I did go ahead and start putting this out on social media because we have a captive audience right now. While we're in the middle of summer reading program, it's really important to get that information out there. I do understand that that looks a little strange to do that beforehand, but like I said, I've been in contact with Courtney, and she really was secure on lifeguards on staff, and since this is two community or city entities working together, we really thought that we could push this through. So, yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that's very inappropriate for you to put it on social media before this council has even approved it.
Okay. Thanks for your opinion. If there's any, I'm sure I'm happy to tell you more that's in my letter, since you didn't have a chance to read it beforehand as thoroughly as I would have liked. But I do have Courtney here because she's in support of this. So if you have any other questions?
Did have a question
Yes,
about
you
the
bet.
punch cards. We aren't, I guess I don't understand why those would be needed if it's a party.
Sure. So that was just a suggestion by Courtney. I don't know, could you?
We were talking about doing it during regular pool hours and not submitting it for a morning party. I've been in contact with Josh. We were giving them ideas because they're smaller kids. Not everybody wants to be out till 10 o'clock at night. Just giving more options for a pool party for a younger group of kids. So we were looking anywhere during normal pool hours, so then the punch cards would have been a better opportunity, especially everybody under 5 is free anyway. We had a large daycare out from Manhattan that worked really well for them to come just purchase the punch card, get everybody through. It was very quick. And, you know, then we gave Mandy the option that we could open the pool up in the morning on a Saturday if that was a relevant option. And you know, during just the policy that we're all learning, this has to come in front of council. I know that I do have a staff, I can't approve that on my own, I don't understand why these necessarily have to come in front of council for that, so, I do have quite a few talks with Josh, our city administrator, for these reasons, and so it's a simple ask when we do come in front of you all. And no, she wouldn't have to do that, it would just be the flat rate of the $150, it would be 10 to noon, and it wouldn't be any different than staffing an evening pool party, which is much easier during the day versus having an evening one, especially with the ages of high schoolers, it works out much easier.
So during the day, you're gonna have your regular staff there?
I actually allow staff to add into those, so sometimes it's just the groups that add in, or it could be regular staff. But I have a system, and it's working.
And then you also have an evening pool party that day. Yep.
And that's been definitely navigated, and that actually comes in some regards before I even make a decision to allow something like this. And so just we're very careful about hours, staffing, and we can have a different shift on these ones.
Thank you.
Normally, pool parties are at night. That's the only time we've ever done them before.
Yeah, if we do the same thing we always did, we'll get the same results. And I personally think that they've done a great job this year.
Yes, I think she's done a great
And
job, but we're
let's just
making an
do-
exception again.
I don't think we're making.
I mean, do we have something like specifically written out that pool parties are
We
only
do.
allowed?
It's in the,
Yeah,
it's in the handbook
It
that
is
was
in the
written a long
handbook.
time ago.
Well, I think we need to
You can
change the
change the
handbook.
handbook, I'm not saying that, but
Which
that's what has to
Courtney
be.
and I are looking into handbook changes for the next pool season. So right now, since it's outside of the normal pool hours, that's why Mandy is in front of council at this time.
This would need a specific exception, but we can look at
Similar
revising the
to the
entire
National
manual.
Guard one.
So they're paying to come in or using their pool pass, not paying $150 like a normal pool party.
What Courtney had mentioned was that she would prefer the pool party
Okay.
payment rather than the
Okay.
punch pass.
That's
And-
totally fine,
yeah.
yep.
Yes.
And the biggest reason why we're actually asking for this morning is because the bulk of our summer reading program people are 0 to 5. I mean, we do go all the way up to adults. There's a program or last program on Thursday night, in case you're interested. But the bulk of our kids are from that 0 to, 9 was usually the oldest. So when you're talking 8:30 to 10 o'clock at night, that just becomes really problematic if you're trying to have a pool party for young kids and they're all in bed.
So then who's paying the $150?
We would, the library would, yes.
Plus, I think it's a lot easier to get lifeguards to work that time instead of 8 to 9 or 9 to 10, whatever.
So do we just need a motion to approve? I move to approve the request.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the pool party request. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you so much, I sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have notices and hearings. I see none. We have the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next we have appropriations ordinance 3826.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance number 3826, amount of $391,009.39.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call?
Snellings,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes.
Keating,
Yes.
Bikeman, Schrader,
Yes.
Crom,
Yes.
Nogaraki, 7-0.
Thank you. Next we have the city administrator report.
So as you all know, we're getting ready for Skyfest this weekend. I believe the chamber's still looking for volunteers, so if you're available, please talk with Wayne and try to get signed up. I believe we were talking about the crosswalks earlier at 14th in Calhoun and 15th in Laramie. Those will be going in at the same time that we paint the other crosswalks, so just before school starts again. At the pool, we just fixed the gasket and the sand filter this morning, and as of right now, it should be ready to go for tomorrow morning. Hopefully all goes well. we drained it a little bit more than we had originally thought we needed to. Life goes on, but it was refilling as of noon, so we're making good progress on that. Should be good to go. Finally, I got a notification about the League of Kansas Municipalities and their annual conference. This one is from August 10th through August 12th, and it is in October, yeah, October 10th through October 12th, and it is in Wichita. And we just need to know which council members are all wanting to go to that.
See if I can.
Because of the motels especially.
So that way we can book everybody in the same place and get the early booking. If you do not know at this time,
As soon as possible.
let us know by the 17th, I'd say.
Get back with you.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this, for the new council members here?
Yeah, it gives you a chance to get into contact with other municipalities, whether it's the elected officials of them or whether it's people working behind the scenes. And then also they have session topics that really give you a chance to think about new ideas that you might never have been able to think of. So whether it's on cybersecurity or AI in government or record retention best practices or strategic planning, you know, they have all those. And then on your paper, you also have the agenda, the preliminary agenda. Those are usually during the concurrent workshops. So whoever's all going would normally game plan on who's going to where. That way everybody comes back with good ideas.
So I know last year when I came back, we implemented a lot of the, for security in the office,
Oh,
signage and stuff like that, so.
And that's where you got the lights from that company
Yeah,
that you talked to.
for the new street lights downtown here, so yeah.
Talked to
Yeah, that
them.
is another thing.
And the, speaker system downtown
Right,
too.
and that is one thing, there is a vendor show that you can go to all these different vendors, like, engineering groups, lighting.
Playgrounds.
Huh?
playgrounds.
Playgrounds, they have trucks, all different kinds of stuff that you can see there, they have hands-on, so.
I mean, you can put me down tentatively, I mean, I'll have to check with the boss at home, but.
Just let us know by the 17th, for sure. And then, yeah.
Especially when you're new, it's really valuable. It's a great way to learn a lot, make a lot of connections that you can leverage to learn things, and you'll be surprised how many people pick your brain about interesting things as well, so.
One of the meetings we went to, I brought back a bunch of stuff about land banks, but it's nothing we ever did.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's good information.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's stuff we still talk about within the offices about what, you know, is it worth it?
What might work.
You know, if they were to release all the FEMA lots, well, then we'd want to form a land bank, that way we have.
But that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Hope springs eternal.
I know it does. I have one next door to me that I'd love to be able to do something with.
Put a garden on it.
No, I don't, why? I can go down to the
I just don't
farmer's
like,
market and buy what I need.
All right, anything else, Josh?
Nope, not right now.
All right. Standing committee reports. Do we have any committee meetings since the last council?
Yeah, we just met this.
The street
evening.
committee met tonight.
Okay, who wants to report on that? Josh?
We went over the, engineering for I lost my words. What was that? The C-clip on
It's
Highway
the KDOT
77 for,
Oh.
kind of supervision, engineering, to inspect and construction stuff, yeah. And I believe they ended up choosing BG Consultants, based on the information that was given to us. So they will be the ones doing the construction inspection throughout it.
Okay. All right, you didn't bring it up in your administrative report, but the budget meeting, was that last Monday?
We have one next Monday too.
So it's next Monday,
The second one.
nothing needs reported from that? I was obviously out of town on vacation, so,
I don't think so.
okay.
A lot of stuff to do and no money to do it.
Well, that would be a pretty good synopsis.
On the, on,
We also decided the mayor has to pay to be the mayor.
Right.
Oh, I'm paying all right.
Every
On the,
Monday this month, we have meetings.
On the first, I presented more of a, let's see what it takes to get everything that was asked for. This one will be a lot more scaled back,
Yeah.
just, more realistic.
Gotta start somewhere. Okay. Let's see, no appointments or wage determinations. Our city attorney is not
I do have one thing.
here. Just 1 second, I'll let you do it under your, council comments here in a second. Don't worry, you're gonna have a chance. Does anybody have any need for executive session tonight? Okay. I'll move with council comments. Lauren?
I got nothing.
Okay. Jerry?
I had a phone call from a gentleman that was waiting for the hurricane to come in about the Kester House block, making sure that they kept business. He said he called you and you reinforced that they will be businesses. They're not gonna turn them into apartments downstairs too. It's always gonna be a downtown business.
We have ordinances in place to
Yeah,
make sure
yeah.
that Broadway keeps businesses in those storefronts.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Colleen? Jeff? Yes, sir.
Ninth and Laramie, since the last windstorm, there are really low hanging tree branches going in down the center of the street, and they will touch your top of your pickup if you're not, you have to avoid it.
Ninth and Laramie, okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Kevin?
Nothing this evening, sir.
I got a call from someone, I probably shouldn't mention their name because I don't know if they're okay with it, but public knowledge anyway, but anyway, just remember, if you're shooting off fireworks, please pick up your trash. If it goes in somebody's yard, you can't go in their yard without their permission, so knock on their door, say, hey, I put something in their yard and pick it up. They were pretty upset about, trash, firework trash, and then they mentioned, do we have the ability to set, like, aerial restrictions over people's homes? Is that something that,
We've
like,
had complaints in the past about that, but we really
It'd be pretty hard to enforce
You're right.
and
No, I was just
to
curious.
make sure that
I've
they.
never heard of it, and they mentioned it.
I did put an ad in the paper, again, asking that people clean up, because a lot of times they'll go shoot them in the street, well, then they go straight down the storm drain, and that causes issues.
That's a problem.
But, I don't know if I got any results.
We also had, the parks crew put out, trash bins in Dargot's Park, so
Which we
that
use.
should help a little bit.
I know this person mentioned something about other cities do fireworks in the parks only and don't allow them at their houses. Is that a thing?
Ours, we specifically say you can't do in the parks.
A lot of cities don't allow fireworks to be shot in the city limits.
I'd never heard of that, so, but that was something they mentioned that we could possibly do. I don't know.
Yeah, Chris, the city might get some trash in your yard next Saturday night.
The city will clean it up. No, I'll take it.
I will at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I got it.
Depends on what way the wind's blowing.
It's all right. It wasn't too bad last year.
Growing up in Kansas City, we couldn't shoot fireworks in the city limits.
But I would just say, pick up your trash, be neighborly, respect other people's property, and just be neighborly, I guess. So, that's all I have.
Sure.
On Saturday, I don't know if Wayne, are you still looking for some more help, or?
18 more volunteers, please.
How many?
18 more.
What's the finder's fee per volunteer?
A fabulous t-shirt.
That'll do. Okay, anything else, Chris? Nothing? Sure, Donkey?
I am.
I only had, one thing on, 11th Road. I know we were still kind of in a holding pattern as far as going out, for bids on that, are we not?
I'm blank where we're at right now.
Since you brought up, some of that earlier, and I wanted to see kind of status on where we're at. Might be something, I guess, if you're, talk to CES on the Nordis thing, that might be something else too. Be good to get that rolling, show some progress.
Okay, so, last time I talked with Rob, he said we're still looking to advertise the first week or two of July. So.
First week or two of July.
So
So
that's
anytime.
this week, yeah.
Okay, good deal.
So how long from the time they advertise till the time the bid letting, or the,
That depends sometimes on your contractor, depends on how good the bid is, if you let them wait or they do it right away.
Is it a this year project or a next year project?
think we're-
It has to be this year.
We're gonna be starting getting pretty close. I mean, it depends what the weather does,
Yeah.
always.
That's why I was curious.
All our easements are only good this year.
Right, I know that's one of the things we're bumping up against.
I did have one more thing on here.
Yeah, sure.
Just for Josh, you remember when I talked to you about that, what is it, North 17th, behind the water tower there? Any word on that? From the asphalt's chipped away from like the driveway, so when they back their cars out, they're bottoming out and, you know.
Where at?
What's that?
Where at?
I
North
think it's
17th?
north, is it North 18th? The street James Leeson and live on?
That's 18.
Is it 18? North
Yeah, the
18th,
street's gonna
yeah.
be-
It goes north and then it curves left. I actually drove down there, there's several driveways where the street asphalt has been completely scraped and chipped away. So when the tires of their car hit that hole in the asphalt, then they're bottoming their cars out, backing out, and then it's just scraping more away.
A bunch of potholes by the end of driveway. So is
Yeah.
it on their driveway or
No,
on the
it's
street?
back
In the street.
Okay, we'll look
asking.
into it. I don't remember that conversation, unfortunately. Sorry.
You're busy, it's all good. So I think they shot me an email last week again about it, so I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
Um,
Yep, written down. So,
Perfect, thank you.
One other quick thing on those stop signs we're putting in. I know when we put the new stop sign in at 16th and North Street here 2 years ago, we put orange flags on it. We're gonna do that on the new stop signs. I was gonna say, because people are gonna be force of habit, I don't want anyone to assume that cross traffic is stopping when we have an issue, so.
Oh, you put orange flags as like a.
Just on the top.
up on 16th and North, we did that because it was,
It was a yield sign.
yeah, well, and it had been that way for so many
Yeah.
years, so,
Okay, good deal.
and I think that's helped.
I do think so, yeah. Okay, is there anything else needs to come before the council?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.